I am fresh off of finishing a book and I have thoughts. I'm like, please, someone out there, tell me that you've read this book and help me understand because I, okay, I just finished, whoa, shaking everything here. I just finished Green Glass House and I wanted to come on here and be like, oh, you guys, I just read the coziest little mystery. And like, I have seen a lot of people talk about this book in their videos saying just kind of like, oh, it's kind of this cool little mystery. It's in like winter cozy vibes. If you like mysteries and, cozy winter, like when you hear that, what people expect. Okay, before I will rant. I will try to be kind about it because a lot of work goes into writing books and putting them out there for people. And so I will try really hard. I will mention the positives. I will also mention the what and the whats. But I do want to mention I have this stack of books next to me. I'm going to talk about 2 books that I finished recently. One, like I said, I just finished like 5 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. And then the other one I finished the night before or last night. Yeah, it was last night. I want to talk about those. I started one, I'm in the first few pages, and I just want to share that I'm reading this. And then I have one that I'm going to start like tomorrow or next week. These, all of them except one, are all snowy, wintry themed. So that's why this is going to be like a wintry themed book chat. So Green Glass House, I decided to read it in this season because of the snow. And if you've seen my other videos, you know that I like to try and, if I can, I try to coordinate my book reading to the season. So if there's snow on the cover, I'm like, I'm waiting to read that when there's snow on the ground. And there is still a bit of snow. It's going to all be gone pretty soon. Just because of the wacky weather. But Green Glass House, where to start? With the positives. How about that? I will start with the positives. The picture that you see here is a very, very accurate visual for the way the story feels. It is snowy, mysterious. There are some really sweet themes about family and different ways that families are formed and what people in those families feel about their family and, their identity and working through those things. Those are like woven through. It's not like that's what this book is about. But that, if I'm focusing on positives, I appreciated those aspects. I did enjoy visualizing, oh, by the way, it's Green Glass House by Kate Milford. I did enjoy visualizing the home and the interior. There's a bunch of stained glass windows that are green. There's blues, ambers. So there is this really cool vibe of big, giant, mysterious mansion. And if you're a kid, that feeling of getting to explore places and discover things. And those are the positives. Oh, okay, I will say this. As I started this book, I did kind of relate to part of the premise because one Christmas when I was 7 or 8, I think 7, maybe 8, it doesn't matter. You don't need to write this down. There won't be a test later. When I was little, 7 or 8, my family and I went to kind of have a family reunion type Christmas in Lake Tahoe. And so there was one time during the trip and we were all staying in one place, like a condo or something. And there was one time where everybody was going to go see the scenery and, oh, it's beautiful. Let's go to the lake or the mountains or somewhere. And they wanted to know if, hey, Kendall, do you want to join? And I was way too busy spying on the neighbors and trying to figure out what dastardly deeds they were all up to. they were just people, like regular people. But in my mind, I decided that there was like mysterious stuff going on. And my cousin too, I think was into it. Because I think her and I stayed behind. Must have been an adult. Don't know which adult stayed behind. I don't remember that. I just remember, I'm pretty sure at least me and I think one of my cousins who was also into this, like, what's going on in this neighborhood? What's going on in this place of homes and condos? Like, what are they up to? Why are they walking around? Like, just suspicious and like, we're going to crack this case. Like, what if you would have asked us, like, what made you suspect these people? It's just, So I missed the scenery, the time with family, the whatever was going on. Maybe they were going to sled, ice skate, I don't know. But I was much more excited to stay home and spy on people and figure out what their deal really was, which was nothing, but it was super fun. I think that was around the same time that me and my sister were like, I think she had a book made for kids about how to, like, I don't know if it was like how to be a detective, and then there were whole chapters on like how to set up like traps, made out of like string and tinfoil, how to set up like traps to like put across your door to make sure, if someone bumped into them, you'd hear the clanging or you'd see that the little things were disturbed and you would know that someone had been in your room. So anyways, we were super into like just suspecting people. Let's be honest. So anyways, there is an aspect to this because there are children in this book who are in this big home with a bunch of characters that arrive. Well, I'm calling it a home. It's actually like an inn, I guess, where like the family lives there, but people come and stay, and it's like a bed and breakfast, I guess, in a giant dark mansion. So anyways, the kids in the story are trying to investigate and understand the guests who have all arrived, which was all very mysterious. So you get the mysterious vibes and you get the, I think you get what I'm saying. Those are the positives I have for you. For the things that I was not a fan of, and like I said, if you have read this book and you loved it or you understood it, maybe just write spoiler alert for anyone who wants to read it and doesn't want any spoilers, because there are major, major spoilers that can be had in this book. But feel free to comment and fill me in if there's something I missed, or if you loved it. I would love to hear if you loved it and why, and if it made sense to you. The only way I could think to describe this is like, have you ever played that game with your family or friends where it's like, let's play story? And so you choose who's going to start. And that person's like, once upon a time, and they tell us part of the story for a certain amount of time. And then they pass it on to the next person. And then that person picks up the story and tells more. And then it goes like around, and each person gets a chance to tell a bit of the story. That is the only way I could describe how I felt reading the story, is because there was so much going on. And even like, well, I was going to say 3/4 of the way through the book, I still was like, am I missing something? Like, are things getting solved? There were just so many things where it was like, oh, there's this map. Oh, there's this bag. Oh, what's with this thing? And like maybe some of those things by the end you were like, oh, okay, I get it. And then other things at the end I'm like, what was all that about? And what was that person all about? And like, did these people really just show up to be like, it's going to sound super vague and confusing, but I really don't want to give spoilers for anyone who wants to read this. Maybe you want to just read it and come back and tell me like your thoughts and comment below, because I just felt like as the story was going along, I just kept being like, wait, what? Wait, what's happening? Okay, now there's a new element added in, and where's the story going? And what, did we figure anything out? Like, and on top of all of that, I definitely won't give this spoiler away, but there is a huge unexpected thing in the last few chapters, I think, where you're just like, whoa, what? Like, it's supposed to be like, poof. But when I read it, I was like, no. Because in some stories, when you find, like, I guess you could call it a twist in the story, I appreciate a good twist in a story if, when looking back, like, you find out the twist and then you go, hang on, let me replay this story. Oh, I can't believe I missed that. Okay, that is a twist that I love. But the type of twists in stories that I don't love are when you look back on the story and you're like, no, that no, that doesn't add up. It doesn't track. And you're like, oh. So not only that, I mean, I don't know if the editors or people who looked over this story from the, like, proofread this for me, please. Maybe the author handed it to someone who's like, editors, fix any whole plots, It seems like maybe they also read the twist and were like, that doesn't explain, how do you explain this and that and this? So it seemed like in order to cover those things that didn't add up with the twist, there are characters that sit there going back over everything themselves and like, well, wait a minute, then how about this? And explain this to me and explain this. And I'm like, their answers, their explanations didn't make the twist make more sense, And there's even one point in their discussion of the twist, as they're discovering the twist, there's a discussion of like, but what about this? And then the other character says, I don't really know. I don't know how all this works. And you're like, author, you wrote the story. Don't you know how it works? Okay, so that's Green Glass House. If you want to read it just to help me understand it, I'm not going to stop yet. Okay, so that's Green Glass House. Definitely wintry. That's all I want to say about that. Who says that? Forrest Gump? That's all I got to say about that. Okay, next book that I read. You may have heard me mention it in previous videos. I think this is the longest book I've ever read, other than for like college courses back in the day. This book, The Time in Between, by Maria Dueñas, is 609 pages long. So I think it took me like a month to read. I was determined to read this. If you missed my earlier videos mentioning this, I heard about this book from the booktuber channel called Gabby Loves to Read. I should have checked this before. Gabby Likes to Read. I think it's Gabby Likes to Read. If you look her up, she has great book recommendations. They're different than, like, they're not always like the new releases, which I love, because usually I'm like, I want to buy a used book. And so I just wait till new releases become old releases. So she usually, at least from what I've seen, she recommends books that I don't hear a lot of other people talking about. And they're usually, at least from what I've seen, they're like, I picked this book off of. I ordered it through, I think it was abebooks.com. I'll put an affiliate link down there in case you want to check it out. It's just like another place to buy used books for super cheap. I've gotten a ton of books from there, and I'm like, super cheap shipping, super affordable prices. Anyways, if you want to pick up used books, not a sponsor, just an affiliate, and I use it and love it. Okay, The Time in Between, 600 pages. I heard this recommended by Gabby from Gabby Likes or Loves to Read. Try them both. I was drawn to this book because, I don't know, like sometimes I just am like, I hear about a book or see a book and I'm like, I need to read that. And I can't explain it. I don't know why. But The Time in Between refers to, and this is it's like historical fiction. The Time in Between, referring to the time between the Spanish Civil War and World War II. So it centers around this character, and it follows her for, I think, about 6 years of life. It's not just about in between the wars. It covers the events during the Spanish Civil War and the War II. Okay, I haven't drank an afternoon coffee. Okay, bear with me. So, how did I feel about this book? Okay, I was drawn to this because, I don't know, thinking about world events and like, it may be relevant, you know? So, I was drawn to it and I'm like, I need to read this. It's about a woman having, I think she, like the first I heard of it was kind of like she suffers a heartbreak or a broken relationship, and then where the path takes her from there, and trying to navigate such a tumultuous world in so many ways. And I kept thinking, I was like, you may have remembered from my other videos, I'm like, I hope it turns out good. I hope it's like a redemptive story, and I think she ends up passing messages, hopefully for the good guys. I didn't know, but I just knew I needed to read this. I am happy to report, everyone, positivity. There's going to be mostly positives for this book. There's like maybe a small, like, didn't prefer type of thing. But I gave this 4 stars out of 5 because so good. If you want a redemptive story, historical fiction, like if you want to learn more about what the world was like for real, it's fictional, but it describes a time that real people went through and the things they were going through. So if you want like a picture of what the real struggles were like for people during that time, what was going on, what people were having to navigate, the very delicate balances that people had to have in certain circles. Anyways, I'll come back to the point of redemptive. I wanted it to be redemptive. I was hoping it was going to be redemptive, and it was. She starts out like I described in other videos where I'm like, it's the type of situation in the book where you're like, you find out about her as a character. You're like, okay, a person. I don't have many opinions about her yet. And then she starts making these decisions and you're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, wait, you didn't see that coming. Oh no. And then you're like so sad for her, but she's not real, but you can imagine it describes things that probably have happened to people, and like, just like, you're so sad for her. And it's just so sad because of the way that she carries herself. She's not very confident. She just kind of falls for things or doesn't think things through. And just like the choices she makes are just, it's like if she's one of your friends and you're like, no, don't do that. No, please, just listen to me. I know you're thinking this way, or you're not thinking that that's a thing, but don't do this, please. And she does the things and you're like, no. And then heartbreak, trauma, really a lot, and struggle, like major struggle because of some choices that she made. But yes, thankfully, this is a redemptive story, and she does go on to just have the most beautiful wrap up to her situation. And she, of course, doesn't come out unscathed, but she comes out kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of that feeling of like a phoenix rising from the ashes, and you're like, oh, everything she's been through, and look at her now. I don't want to give too many spoilers because I want you, if you love a redemptive story and if you love historical fiction, I don't want to ruin it for you, but you do have to persevere through most of the 600 pages to finally get that feeling of like, yes, awesome. Okay, good for you. Yay. And then you look around and you realize like, I'm cheering for fictional characters. Hooray. But you know what? If you love books, then you know that feeling and it doesn't seem weird to you. Okay. So that is the time in between. Definitely recommend for people that I just described. Historical fiction, redemptive stories, wanting to learn more about the Spanish War. I had not heard about the Spanish Civil War, I don't think. So I learned a little bit more about that. I learned much more about what the beginnings and leadings up to World War II were like in surrounding countries. Like normally we think of like Germany and Poland, but it was like expanding out to like Spain and Morocco and just all these things that were happening before the war officially started. So, recommend. 4 out of 5. Oh, yeah, I was going to mention the reason I didn't give it a 5 out of 5, what was it? Oh, I think there's a subplot. I don't want to give away what it is because it's best to go in kind of being like, I don't know what's going to happen there. There were some things that I felt like, okay, this is supposed to be like a very, like I said, historical fiction. It's supposed to be very realistic. So there were some plot points that happened where I was like, okay, I don't think that really would have happened. Like, people she runs into or I don't want to give too much away, but there were just minor things where I was like, I don't really think that would have happened. It's not likely. And there was something else. Oh, another plot point that I also don't want to give details on because it will give away part of the story. But there was another plot point that I just wasn't super interested in. To be honest, if it wasn't there at all, the story still would have been just as awesome. I just was kind of like, I'm not interested in this part of the story. So anyways, minor points. That's why I gave it 4 out of 5 instead of 5 out of 5. No biggie. Okay, I'm like a few pages into this next book. Oh, by the way, so this was the one book that was not really like wintry, obviously. Not very wintry themed, but Green Glass House with the snow. Oh, and also Green Glass House has it centers around Christmas as well. This one, I just started. Oh, it's reflecting the light. Okay. The Girl Who Speaks Bear by, the last name is Anderson. I think it's Sophie. Let's check it out in case you want to find it. Yep. The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson. I picked this up at a library book sale, so it has that, shiny library stuff going on. Okay, so I'm just a few pages into this, and mostly I picked it up because of that. Oh, it's reflecting again. Look at that art. Like, it looks like claymation, It's so cool. So I think that's mostly why I picked it up. Wait, let's get that not shining anymore. So that's mostly why I picked it up. But also the description was like, this girl who was like raised by bears or something and is, loves the forest. And I'm like, I'm in. Okay, cool. Sounds good to me. And, the first few pages in, I'm like, cool, I'm interested. Which is good because sometimes you pick up a book and you think it's going to be great. And even just within the first few pages, you're like, I just don't care that much. And if you don't care within the first couple pages, how long will it take you to care? I don't know. So I try to use my time on books where I'm like, the first few pages, I'm like, all right, what's going on? I need to know. I need to read more. So I'm feeling that way about this one, and clearly wintry themed there. The Girl Who Speaks Bear. I believe it's based off of like a Russian folk tale, something like that. So that's that one. The next one, I have not started it yet, but I will either tomorrow or maybe next week. Lost Dogs and Lonely Hearts by Lucy Dillon. So I have read a couple of her other books. She has a bunch of books. She's a British author, and it's actually really hard to get these editions of the books. There's other ones with like photographed covers of like photographed dogs or something where it's like, doesn't draw me in as much, but I thought this was like a very sweet little cover. And the first book of Lucy Dillon's that I read was I think it was called Happy Ever After, or Searching for Happy Ever After, something like that. And I found it in my local free little library box. And so I picked it up for free and I read it and I just loved it. I think that might be the book that opened me up to realizing other type of genres that I would be interested in, where I'm like, oh, do I actually enjoy books, like stories that are about like family dynamics and interpersonal relationships, but like fictional, and they're, There's usually a romance in them, but they're, at least the ones I've read, and I looked up this one too, like there's nothing sketchy in it where you read and you're like, oh no, I don't want to hear about this. I don't need to read the details. I have not yet run into anything like that. You know, in the booktube world, they call them either no spice or low spice. So if you know about the spicy scale, these are low to no spice. But the other reason that I like Lucy Dillon's stories is because even if there is a romance plot, there's many characters, not all of them are romance plots, but there's certain characters in each book that have a romantic plot. Even the ones with a romantic plot are not at all your typical like, oh, I saw him and he was annoying me, but his shirt fit nice. And you're like, oh, come on. There's like, her characters like are very more like, how do I explain it? Just like more character development and depth to where there's much more between these people than just like, whoa, he looks hot, you know? And you're like, just tell me a story, okay? Like, so if you like character development and interpersonal stories, some of the stories are about like sisters, or one was about like a stepmom trying to navigate life in, you know, her, what do you call it? Mixed family? Ooh. Oh man. Low coffee tiredness brain. I can't remember what that very simple phrase is. But anyways, so I saw this one. I ordered this, I think also on Abe Books. I think I did find this one on Abe Books for a pretty good price. Came all the way from England, everybody. This book has been in England. I'm in the States, so that feels like special, you know? Anyways, this is Lost Dogs and Lonely Hearts. The summary for this book, again, I haven't started it yet, but the summary is that the main character, I think either is like doing a dog walking or a dog fostering situation, career, job, volunteering, I don't know, but something about her like being able to match people up with the right dog, but then she's going through stuff, and so you're going through her like emotional journey as she's processing life, I think. So if you like dogs and you like character development, interpersonal relationship stories, definitely please look up Lucy Dillon, because I don't know, I just love, like, I love her books. It's a type of book that like every time I've read a Lucy Dillon book, I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, this is just good, you know, because it's the character development and I just care about the people. That's what it is. She writes characters that you actually care about. And in the last book of hers that I read, I really cared about one of the characters who was making poor choices. And, you know, same kind of like the last book of like, no, what are you doing? No, oh no, oh you did, oh no. But it's like, but you really like her. And so you're like, oh, your heart breaks for her. And then there's usually a redemptive thing. But Lucy Dillon, feel free to check her out if the things I mentioned resonate with you. But this is the one I'm going to be reading soon. And it's wintry, I guess, because that looks wintry. Oh, well, she has an umbrella. Is it raining? Well, they're walking through snow and she has an umbrella in the snow. Oh, that's glittery snow by the title there. Okay, it's snowy, it's winter. So let me know if are you someone who likes to read themed by the seasons? Also, what are you reading? And have you read any of these? If none of those sound like things that you want to answer, but you'd like to let me know that you are here. I just was distracted by a little fuzz, something falling back there. If you would like to let me know you're here, but you're kind of like, I don't really have a ton to say, then just leave me like an emoji that's wintry, like a snowflake or Santa? I don't know. Oh, I do want to say thank you so much to everyone who left such kind comments on my last video. As you can see, today's video is a completely different vibe than the last video. The last video, I actually called it like things are heavy right now. So if you watched that one and then you're watching this one, you may feel like, this is not what I expected after that last video. Totally understand. But you know, we all have different moments as we go through things. Sometimes you're like going through life and you feel like you're here, and then other moments you feel like you're here. And those are both okay. You can have both of those things even at the same time. So currently and lately, since that last video, yeah, I am maybe, you know, I think part of it is that like I'm thinking about Christmas and, you know, found out what we get to do for Christmas. I'm feeling good about that. I feel like, oh, yes, feeling good about what Christmas is going to be like this year, which is so nice. So maybe that's what's helping, but also, you know, maybe y'all are praying for me or just you left encouraging things. So thank you for watching that last video if you did. If you didn't, feel free to, you know, check out my channel page. Channel page? Sure, let's call it a channel page. Feel free to check that out and see my other last video. It's from just a couple days ago. Did I want to mention anything else? Yes, if you are not on a tight budget, I do have additional ways to support this channel other than what you're doing right now, which is awesome. Watching, maybe subscribing if you check out my homepage and you see a bunch of videos that you're interested in. I am trying to monetize my channel. I need to get up to at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours within a year's period. So I'm working towards that. If you would like to help me even more than that in like supporting the channel, feel free to check out my memberships that start at just $2 a month. Again, if you are not on a tight budget, feel free to check that out. I'll have, you know, everything linked below. Or one-time donations. It's at the Buy Me a Coffee site. And what did I'm also selling a gratitude journal called the Honest Gratitude Journal because it leaves space for kind of the things that I was saying just now. It leaves room for the things that are like, ooh, it doesn't feel good. And then you have a moment that you're like, yeah, I'm really grateful for this and feeling good. So it leaves space for you to write down and process the things about your day that were hard and the things about your day that were feeling good or that you're just grateful for. Because life is both. It's not all painful, but it's not all great feeling. But there are times of both, and sometimes at the same time. Or in hard seasons, sometimes you get really joyful feelings. Or sometimes during joyful moments, you might get a little twinge of like, oh, but this thing is sad. So all that to say, life is both. It's not all just one way or the other. And hang in there if you are going through a hard time. Thank you for being here, and thank you for watching. And I think I covered it all. I mean, I could stall a little bit because then like the little things pop up like, here's my face and watch this video, wherever they are. And then like, it's hard to like listen and look at what's the thing that's popping up on my screen? So this little ramble is giving it time for you to check out whatever that is. Ooh, what's that over there? Hey, you didn't miss me saying anything because I rambled. Thanks for watching.